As the worldwide quarantine continues, I thought it best to take a step back to some true comfort entertainment. When it comes to true escapism, nothing beats Star Trek, right?
Here we go. Keep it rolling, boy. Keep it rolling. Seven winner.
I've talked endlessly about Trek, and today the trend will continue. So, what better way to escape the problems of the world than to watch a film that involves brutal deaths, mind rape, out of shape old men falling down, and people being sucked into the empty pit of space. Hey, at least this looks pretty. Before getting into my thoughts on Nemesis, this might go a bit differently than my opening suggests. When my youthful eyes first watched Nemesis, I remember being disappointed. The film was drab and dark. Everyone looked so tired. The film's third and almost second act were nothing but straight up action. My favorite Trek character, Worf, have been relegated to belly flopping in the middle of the ship hallways and making goofy jokes?
It appears to be a robotic arm.
Very astute.
The script was too focused on Data. Perhaps as time has went on, my brain cells have depreciated such a steady pace that my recent rewatch of Nemesis has left me in tears. What has the world come to? I don't even know anymore.
But shut up, Wesley.
Buried in the almost 2-hour runtime is a film littered with the typical Trek motifs.
But even if they were, he would not be me. How can you be sure? I aspire, sir, to be better than I am.
Humanity, discovery, questioning of beliefs, and trying to better yourself. It just so happens to be occasionally blanketed by a way too long old man driving a golf cart scene and the casual mind rape. Stuart Baird, director of Nemesis, had received a lot of flack for his direction. Reports had stated that the director had never seen an episode of TNG prior. You'd think that would be a requirement, right? Regardless, a lot of scenes have that familiar Trek weight to them. The strongest theme throughout the film, at least for me, is the nature versus nurture. This is most true with Picard's battle with Shinzon, a younger clone hidden away on the blacked out planet of Remus. Picard is a man that was raised with love, but the right trials of life that had also made him one of Starfleet's most decorated diplomats. Screenwriter John Logan poses the question of taking someone of such ideals, such passions, and basically making them a tortured soul. Picard's desperation to save Shinzon feels as much as he is saving someone else as he is saving a version of himself.
Were we Picards always warriors?
I think of myself as an explorer.
It is played uniquely with great dialogue scenes and phrases that feel perfectly Trek. This theme also runs through with the secondary plot of the film, B4. B4, the prototype android to Data, is basically a child to Data.
Why does the tall man have a furry face?
He lacks maturity, awareness, and the skills that Data has developed through his life. It isn't B4 that's the study, but the character of Data. If we go back to an episode like The Next Generation's The Measure of a Man, we remember the critique of Data. Is Data sentient? Is he living, or is he just a robot? Data's uniqueness shines brightly with B4 on screen, and that's where you truly see that Data's more than just an android.
Can I move now? No.
His strive to seek out humanity to better himself is a notion we see Picard desperately use to try and save Shinzon.
We have the same potential.
That's the past, Captain.
It can be the future.
Nemesis in a lot of ways really kicked off what Trek would end up becoming. It is dark, featuring a lot of death, a lot of darkly lit scenes, intense action scenes, and intense this scene?
It was a violation.
However, it comes up pretty PG when you look at something like Picard. No, I'm not gonna bitch and moan about Picard, so just chill out. Don't go in the comments and, oh, he hates Picard. No, just stop.
Stop yelling at me!
Despite the action in the film really going on for quite too long, it is done pretty well. The film was made in 2002 and the special effects, even today, look quite fantastic. A lot of miniatures were used, models, and matte paintings. Honestly, this film looks better than most action films today, and the budget was a mere $60 million. For those that feel that the film might be a bit of a slog to get through, watching the Enterprise E duke it out with the scimitar was quite grand.
Fire at will.
At the front of Nemesis is really wonderful performances from Patrick Stewart, Tom Hardy, and Brent Spiner.
Goodbye.
Stewart's almost Shakespearean battle with Hardy is the highlight of the film, away from the action sequences of course. Hardy really bites into the dialogue and delivers a desperate performance.
Very deep within you, beneath all the years of pain and anger, there is something that has never been nurtured. The potential to make yourself a better man.
Seeing Shinzon lose his humanity throughout the film and slowly develop into a monster was a beautiful concept that was played out perfectly. Picard throughout the film slowly becomes hollowed out by the thoughts of what he may have become. While it isn't upbeat or inspirational to what Trek has usually been, it's safe to say Picard isn't much different. Brent Spiner's performance as Data and B4 is quite good as usual. Spiner helped develop the story alongside John Logan and Rick Berman. You can certainly tell with a lot of focus being given to Data's storyline. His emotional climax of the film sits uneven with me during some watches, and others, I actually really like it. Data dying for a cause, for a friend, is perhaps the most human thing anyone can do. To fulfill this and leave on a legacy in B4 was about as human as one could ever get.
First time I saw Data, he was leaning against a tree in the holodeck, trying to whistle. Funniest thing I ever saw.
You're going to be an interesting companion, Mr. Data.
No matter what he did, he couldn't get the tune right.
Never saw the sun shining so bright, shining so bright.
The two standout scenes for me both involve Patrick Stewart, the first being the break in the big battle between the Scimitar and the Enterprise. Shinzon offers a surrender for the Enterprise crew in return of Picard. Watching Picard try to reason,
I see more than that. I see what you could be.
Negotiate,
Lower your shields and allow me to transport you to my ship.
And the Enterprise.
and play diplomat with a man that put his crew in grave danger was so Picard to me.
And what will you do with that life? Waste it in a blaze of hatred? There is a better way.
All signs pointed that Shinzon was hell-bent on destroying Earth, and Picard was willing to negotiate his humanity. Whatever anyone says about this film, this nugget of a scene perfectly illustrates what Trek is about. The second scene is Picard and Riker's final scene together. The two share a smile. Picard jokes about going on an away mission.
When your first officer insists that you can't go on away missions,
ignore him.
A reference to the first episode where Picard and Riker duked it out.
You know that assuming that responsibility must by definition include the safety of the captain. I have no problem with following any rules you lay down, short of compromising your safety.
And then Picard shakes his hand. That's it. It felt perfectly Picard, like a good employee, a good soldier, moving on to his next duty. It wasn't grand, but it was perfectly subtle. Listen, Star Trek Nemesis is littered with issues. The beginning takes way too long to get going. Shinzon's plan with B4 was totally nonsensical. The action goes on for way too long. Characters like Worf and Dr. Crusher are all but non-existent. It gets dark and really weird.
He seems to have the ability to reach into my thoughts. I've become a liability. I request to be relieved of my duties.
permission denied.
All this put aside, the film hits the notes of Trek just with that dark sensibility. We have characters attempting to be the best versions of themselves. These themes, while explored in dialogue, are explored through actual meaningful actions. It might not necessarily be the actions we want as an audience, but they are fulfilling to their arcs. It also can just be silly fun, and sometimes that's what I need.
You may go.
Where? Out of my sight.
For me, Nemesis might be my second favorite TNG film, behind First Contact of course. What do you think of Nemesis? Let me know in the comments below. Hey Tots, thanks so much for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you want to help support the channel, please check out the link below or in the description. I'll see you soon.